During the Second World War, there were a number of illegal orders issued by the Nazi hierarchy and Adolf Hitler. Specifically, one of these had dark implications for many Allied soldiers who were commandos. The Commando Order was issued by the High Command of the German Armed Forces, and it stated that all Allied commandos captured in Europe and Africa should be executed without trial, and they would be shot without trial even if they were in proper uniform. Those who were not in proper uniform were to be handed over to the Sicherheitsdienst, the SD, the security services, for also immediate execution. Practically, the Commando Order led to the slaughter of many, possibly thousands of soldiers who fell into the hands of the Germans and the Nazis, and they should have been spared as prisoners of war. But what was the dark history behind the Commando Order? To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. The Commando Order was allegedly issued in retaliation to the Allies and the Soviets, as the Nazis believed they were breaking the laws and rules of war. The German High Command believed that they had information that Allied commandos were ordered to treat German soldiers roughly, and that they were instructed not only to tie up prisoners, but also to kill out of hand unarmed captives who they think might prove an encumbrance to them or hinder them in successfully carrying out their aims, and the commandos had been ordered to kill their prisoners, as in German soldiers. In the order issued, it was specifically stated that, from now on, all men operating against German troops in so-called commando raids in Europe or in Africa are to be annihilated to the last man. This is to be carried out whether they are soldiers in uniform or saboteurs, with or without arms, and whether fighting or seeking to escape, and it is equally immaterial whether they come into action from ships and aircraft, or whether they land by parachute. Even if these individuals on discovery make obvious their intention of giving themselves up as prisoners, no pardon is on any account to be given. On this matter, a report is to be made on each case to headquarters for the information of higher command. Now, Hitler may have had some grounding in why he ordered the execution command, as during the Dieppe raid, a Canadian soldier took a copy of an operation order ashore, which then fell into the hands of the Germans and went right to the top to Hitler. This said about binding prisoners, and it was claimed that bodies of shot German prisoners were found with their hands tied after the battle. Whether or not this was legitimate, or in fact a Nazi lie, it's not entirely known. The Sark raid also led to the issuing of the Commando Order, and Hitler personally wrote a note in the daily communication of the Wehrmacht saying, "In future all terror and sabotage troops of the British and their accomplices, who do not act like soldiers but rather like bandits, will be treated as such by German troops and will be ruthlessly eliminated in battle wherever they appear." Now, because of the order, there were hundreds of commando soldiers or Allied soldiers who were executed under it. In December 1942, Royal Marine Commandos were captured following Operation Frankton, and they were executed by a naval firing squad in Bordeaux. This was recorded in the war diary of Erich Raeder, the Admiral, saying that this was new, as the soldiers had been wearing uniform. One of the most infamous events involving the Commando Order saw 15 soldiers in March 1944 inside of Italy who were conducting codename Operation Ginny 2. They were captured and were then executed upon the orders of Anton Dössler, a German general who insisted upon the shootings of the Americans, and he later would be executed by firing squad himself for this. In September 1944, there were 7 British commandos who were executed at Mauthausen concentration camp, and further executions continued. Captured airmen who were shot down also suffered this fate, and it was said by Jürgen Stroop, who organised the killings, that it was common knowledge that American flyers were terrorists and murderers who used methods contrary to civilised norms. We were given a statement to that effect from the highest authorities. It was accompanied by an order from Heinrich Himmler. 8 men who survived a B-17 crash in Austria were captured too, but 4 of the men were executed, and 4 survived until the end of the war. The execution of Allied commandos without trial was in direct violation of the Hague Convention that stated that a spy taken in the act shall not be punished without previous trial, and this included soldiers caught behind enemy lines wearing proper uniform. Soldiers in proper uniform should have been treated as prisoners of war upon their capture, but many people were not given this treatment. Some German generals, including the Desert Fox Erwin Rommel, even refused to pass over the order to his men, as he knew it would later come back to haunt him and could be interpreted later as ordering specifically a war crime. The Commando Order did come back to haunt senior members of the German armed forces. As mentioned, Anton Dörsler, the general who ordered the execution of 15 US soldiers in Italy, was executed, as was Alfred Jodl, one of the most senior members of the armed forces, and also the most senior soldier, Wilhelm Keitel, the head of the Oberkommando der Wehrmacht, the German Armed Forces High Command, would later too be hanged for his involvement in issuing the illegal order following the Nuremberg trials. Admiral Erich Raeder at Nuremberg also admitted to passing on the Commando Order, and he believed that it was also justified, and he said that, in his opinion, the execution of 2 Royal Marines, who were shot on his watch, was not a war crime. This was disputed by the International Military Tribunal, and he was later convicted of war crimes for ordering the executions, but was spared the hangman's noose, being sentenced to life imprisonment, but for Raeder, it only meant 10 years behind bars. Also executed because of his issuing of the Commando Order was a high-ranking intelligence officer, Josef Kiefer. He was subjected to a court-martial, as he ordered the executions of 5 SAS prisoners, and he was hanged in 1947. Also alongside Kiefer, 2 other German soldiers were executed for taking part in a massacre upon Kiefer's command. There were other illegal orders, such as the Commissar Order given out by Hitler, that brought the executions of many more people inside of Soviet lands. Hitler excused all of those who carried out executions under the command as free from any military investigation and punishment, and in this it gave the executioners, as in German soldiers, free rein to do what they wanted. It was one of the most ruthless orders of the Second World War that led to so much death and suffering, but those who passed the Commando Order were later brought to justice for this. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.